Hi there, this is Dr. Everybody. We're going to take a look at Project 5. Now, what are we doing with this? Well, we've divided this up into two parts. So that's just to make your programming easier. And the basic idea here is that we're going to read a population file. It's organized with year, country, region, and population. And with, so there's 4 characters for the year, 50 characters for the country, etc. Watch out, there is one space between fields so that you have 4 characters of the year, a space, 50 characters of country, space, 4 characters of region, space, and so on. So let's take a look at what this is. And I've started out with a simple one to start with, where I just open the file and I go through and I print every line in the file. So when I run it, I get something that looks like that. Now that's not, one thing that's nice to do is to get rid of the extra character turn there. So let's just strip out white space, and then when I run it, there's only one character turn. Remember, when we read the line in, there's a character turn at the end, and the print adds a line in there. Now, what this project, if we go back to the project itself, what it says is that we are going to just always read the population.txt, and then we're going to prompt for an output file, and you can just use this, to copy what's out of the text for that. So I'm not even going to bother with that right now and concentrate on the rest of it. We're going to prompt for a year and then print out a year. And then there's an extra one where if you just enter, say, a 1-9, it will do all years that start with 1-9. Hopefully you recognize that slicing is your friend on this. So what is one? You're matching 1-9 when you're slicing off the beginning of each year to see if you can get a match on it. So let's take a look at this. If I want to enter, if I add in entering a year, I've already typed that in there. What will I do? Well, after I get the line, I want to find the year that's in the file, and from the project specification, that's the first 4 characters. And so then I can say if the year that I read in is equal to the year that was in the file, then I can print it. So let's give that a try. It asked for a year. Let's put in 1997, and it said year is not defined, and that's because I should have said line here. So let's fix that. All right, enter year 1997, and that prints out the line in the file that starts with 1997. Then what do we do? Well, after that, you just have to work on taking an input and dealing with a slice, right? So that you can handle things like if our year, we enter it with some others, specifying just part of the field, then you just want to slice that off. And notice that I kept the year as a string so I can match the slicing. And you also have to handle all. And notice how I did this all without writing it to a file. Once I get the information that I want out of this, then I can go and add in just printing it to a file, open up the file and print to it. The second part of this project, let's take a look at part B. It's very similar. And this time, we prompt for the input file, okay? So it won't always be population.txt. Then we prompt for a year, right? So that's just like what we had. And then we prompt for a region code. And then once we have that, we get a count of the records, the total population, the average population, and then the smallest and the largest. Let's take a look at that. So I'll bring up another file here. There we go. And let's take a look at what this one does. It's quite similar to what we had to start with. And as mentioned above, we prompt, we open a file. So we're going to open a file, we're going to prompt for the year end, we're going to prompt for the region. We'll still go through and strip the line. And now we're going to grab both the year and the region. And let's print the region and the line. And then I still have my stuff here so that I'm only looking at 10 lines at a time. So let's give that a try. And we enter a year. Let's do 1997, enter a region, EMR. And we see that, notice I don't have my if statement in here. And we print, every time I print the region, and then I print the rest of the line. That's what we're doing here. And we only do that for the 10 lines. So let's now print only if the year and the region match. So if the year that we input equals the year that we found in the file, and if the region input equals the region that was found, then I will print it. And I'm going to do one other thing here too, is that I am also going to only count it then. And when I'm all done, I will print the count. Let's see how this goes. Enter year, 1990s. Let's go 1994. A region, let's do EMR. And it prints out 22 regions. Now, let me point out here that it was important that I do the strip because I was actually getting 5 characters there. I mean 4 characters, and this is only 3 characters long, so I had to take out the space there. But we've got 22 of these, and now I've got something to work with. I printed out region just to check. I really only needed the line there, and now we can start looking at what we're asked for. Well, they wanted a count of those, so we have a count. And because I did it this way, printing it out like this, we're not asked to print it out, but this lets me check what's going on. I can go through and count that, make sure I got 22. How about the total population? Well, just like with every time I counted one of these, let's just add in the population. And don't forget the population is in thousands, so there's actually 3 zeros there. The average, well, if you've got the total and the count, hopefully you can calculate the average. Let's take a look at the notion of the smallest. How do I handle the smallest? Well, again, if I'm developing the code the way I have, I can look through these to get the smallest. And what do? Well, I'll start out with my smallest being equal to the first one, 16,485. And then if every time I read in a new one, a new value, it's smaller, that's a less than sign, smaller than my smallest, then that's the new value of my smallest. Gets the new. And let's see how this works. So, first time through here, let's keep track of smallest. In my namespace, there it is. And the very first time it will have a value of 16,485. I read in the next line, and now the new value is 549. So it's 549 less than this? It is. So now I reassign that to be 549, and then I continue through. 653 small? No. No, 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 no. Ah, 495. 495 is smaller than my current smallest, so I'd say smallest gets the new value, 495. And then I go through, no, 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 no. And at the end here, we have, by doing these one at a time, we have correctly identified 495 as the smallest. And note we have to remember the year, so I'll actually, we'll want to know the state. So it might be handy for me to keep track of that. So not only do I keep track of smallest, but maybe I'll have something, let's call it smallest line, and keep track of that at the same time. So keep track of the smallest, keep track of the smallest line, and then I've got all the information that I want for that. How do I do the largest? Well, instead of finding the smallest, find the largest. Make a new variable largest instead of smallest. That now, within this, I can check by looking at a small set of values here. I can use a calculator. I can check that I added up the population correctly. I can count the values there, make sure I did the count correctly. I can check my average that I calculate. And I can also make sure that I've got the smallest and largest out of this set. Once you got all that working, then you can think about, okay, how does this get displayed? I think we asked you to do a function with that. And there's kind of the core of this. And hopefully that'll give you something to start with. Good luck.